Hello and welcome to episode 123 of our SAP on Azure Video Podcast. Today is December 16th, and together with Robert and Goran, we are here to talk about anything related to SAP and Microsoft. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
So I was recently looking at the Microsoft Cloud Partner Program, where it says, partners make more possible. I think from the very beginning, partners were a very central piece for Microsoft's success, actually. If we look at SAP and Microsoft, this is even more important. We have now a lot of pure SAP partners, or previously pure SAP partners, that acquired the required knowledge, the Microsoft knowledge, to help customers. So in the middle of all this partner onboarding, partner working with partners is our own Robert. So today we thought about taking a closer look at partners and how we are actually working with them. But before we hand over to Robert and start our discussion, as always, let's take a look at some of the news from this week. And Goran, you already brought up some interesting new things.
I would say really a kind of nice surprises for the before the new year, Christmas. This one talks about GA of the cross-zonal restore for Azure Backup. Interesting part is here that this is based, the storage is zonal redundant storage. Zonal redundant storage is synchronously replicating across the three zones, meaning we do have their consistency on the disk level, okay, as well. And that means it enables us also to restore in any zone in a this consistent way, right? Of course. So it's a GA there. I mean, customers should really try it.
So you want to say that we had the zonal redundant storage, but Azure Backup service was not able to restore in a specific zone. So
Yes.
now it's okay.
Yeah. Now
Nice.
this is a GA, and again, it's based on ZRS, zonal redundant storage, so which is a kind of enabler. So not nice. I mean, this is also important, kind of also part of those generally availability story. I mean, restore, if it's something you need to restore, okay, then it does matter, consistency, speed, and then ability anywhere. So I mean, for those customers who are kind of using the zone as an HA, some of them even use zones as a kind of mini DR, a kind of metro. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
That would be this is really, I would say, an interesting feature. And GA, is there. Yeah.
Yep.
So the next one, many customers are asking Azure NetApp cross-zone replication. So we had this CRR, so cross-regional replication from NetApp, but that was not inside of the zones, right? So here, that's a kind of public preview of this feature. It is still, I mean, it's not synchronously. I mean, it's a kind of something similar like a cross-regional. So I think RPO is a kind of 10 minutes or something like this.
So it's not meant for data on log disk then in future.
Yeah, but still, it is something what customers are asking for. So definitely, I see this as a value add on. Definitely, what customers are asking. So for the Azure NetApp customer, I mean, they need to apply, be part of the public preview. But I would definitely warmly encourage everybody to try out. Yeah.
Cool.
And the next one, or the last one, at least from my side, when we talk about the NetApp from Gert, from NetApp itself, nice blog about, and not only blog, but actually recorded the videos from about new application volume groups and how it is really kind of working and all together. I really like it. I like it. It's a high quality material. It explains how to do a single host on multiple hosts. Not just the blog, but actually a nice combination with the videos itself. So I get tons of those questions. They are kind of being repeated frequently about what is application volume growth, and how that really works. I mean, now we have a blog plus the video, so warm and welcome. Just I believe, I mean, most of the answers should be already. How many customers and partners you can find in there? Yeah.
Perfect.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool. Then one more thing from my side, and that is about a customer use case, basically, or a customer scenario. And obviously now we're going up the stack, so we're not talking about NetApp or infrastructure or whatever, but really talking again about the Power Platform. And here Coca-Cola United have a really nice use case on how they were using or are using the Power Platform to help them in different processes. So one of them is the invoice processing, and they really outline how using Power Platform, I mean, the numbers that they're sharing here, like inventory validation reduced from half a day to seconds. I mean, that's obviously a really nice TCO that you get there. So they just talk about how they're using the Power Platform in combination with SAP, and actually also with several Azure services. And I think that's something, when I look at our one Microsoft cloud stories, so not only looking at Azure, but also looking at these other pieces that we bring together with the one Microsoft cloud. I think that's your beautiful example where we're using the Power Platform, where we're using Azure services like Logic Apps, Azure Storage, where we use an SAP system, this case running on Azure, to really bring all of this together. And then they also then talk here really about the RPA functionalities to bring together these individual steps across such a order process scenario. So it's really a nice story from Coca-Cola or Coca-Cola United about how they've leveraged the Power Platform in the context of SAP. So yeah, and I think you just saw that there are also a few other customer examples there, but I think at the moment we see a lot of traction for Power Platform at SAP, and it's really nice to have one big customer here talking about this.
Super. Yeah.
Good. So with this, I think that was all the news for this week. And as mentioned, today we want to put the focus a little more on the partners. And yeah, Robert, you are working in the partner organization, so I think in your daily business you work with partners. So
I think what is very interesting, probably not is not so known, that I think around 90% of all our revenues or whatever we interpret that is going through partners. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So also, in Microsoft organization, I have just few departments where we actually executing like delivery. We are on most cases advisory. So, and this is also a global partner organization. We start, when I start 2017, we start with one commercial partner, or the OCP. Now last 2-3 years, we have a new name. This is GPS, Global Partner Solutions, not a global positioning system, GPS. And I mean, in most cases, how we are doing in partner organization, we have two big blocks of partners, so-called managed partners and unmanaged partners. Managed partners simply mean that they have dedicated partner development manager, PTS, and they have created together a plan, for example, for this fiscal year. Unmanaged partner doesn't have always a dedicated PDM, and they are not somehow going direction to create directly a technical development plan. But we are still working with those partners. So it's not that we are saying, no, we are not managed, we don't want to work with you. Yeah? Mm-hmm. And in general, what is in GPS, the goal is that we, of course, starting with onboarding partner, but also helping partner to understand the business. For example, to understand the Azure, if we are talking about SAP and Azure, we train them, we working together with them, we organize boot camp with them, but also helping them with execution. So I have one nice slide. I think it will show more or less the power of what we are doing. is, I mean, we like to call ourselves like a coaching, like mentors. Yeah. So in general, we are somehow, from one side, we are trying to do some technical skill enablement. We have some programs here in Germany. We call it role-based journey, where we somehow separate the chunks like a governance, like high availability for SAP systems, and trying to a little bit at higher level to train our partners. But be careful, we are not training organization. If partner or someone else want to have really learning training session, we have our training partners, which in most cases they follow our Microsoft official curriculum documentation and prepare partners for certification, for example. Yeah. So, and on other side, we are trying to balance between the somehow mastering skills of partners, trying to keep them up to date, have sync calls with them, and trying to help them if they have any challenges. But on other side, we're also trying to be as a coach, and we are talking about SAP on Azure. We help them with first initial sizing, help them to understand how to size properly. But also, because our team is not just have a SAP on Azure, for example, architects, they also have AI architects, cloud adoption framework colleagues who are helping them how to organize that, how to position themselves against, for example, well architecture framework and everything else. And we are all together somehow coaching them through that process. And this is never ending process. This is, also from Microsoft, I think is a new perspective, because, in Microsoft, we used to sell the licenses. Yeah. So sell it and wait to new version of SQL Server, so to say. Yeah. But now, because we are on the cloud, it is never-ending story. So this is also a challenge where we also try to change us and also adopt cloud adoption framework mentality in our bloodstream, so that we are using the journey inside the cloud as a continuous journey and a continuous mentoring to help a partner to actually achieve more, if I want to go with our big boss Satya. Huh? So this is, for example, one example for, we call it an engagement, what we are doing with partner. We somehow try to see, okay, what is a partner benefit? What is there for partner? And this, again, these big blocks: technical skill enablement and continuous coaching. And, continuous coaching can be, as I mentioned, sizing, pricing, reviewing architecture. I mean, I'm now talking about SAP on Azure. My colleagues have the same approach to other topics. And what is more important, as I mentioned, we are actually advisory. That means also we cannot charge partners, so we are free for our partners. Of course, be careful, we are not support organizations, so we'll not respond to any mail that partner sent to us and say, hey, I have a problem with that. We will help them, and we'll instruct them to create a support ticket. But we are really trying to be there for our partners. It is just in the beginning of the project or during the project, customer project, and so on. What is sometimes maybe confusing outside of Microsoft is that we have many organizations, but we have also CSAs for customer side. So this is our colleague for customer side, and they are doing more or less same job what we are doing on the partner side. Yeah. So we are working together on for example, customer projects. But once more, we are not, let's say how we call it in SAP space, we are not touching SAP systems. Yeah? We are helping partner to understand how to improve that. Actually, we are preparing partner to be ready when, for example, Goran have escalation, that Goran does not need to spend time on the basic level, because we already prepare partners. So partner is already mature to work with our engineering guys like Goran to help them to solve some critical issues there. So this is a little bit how we are working. Yeah, there's many different directions and different flavors, so to say, because there's different topics, and we of course need to behave a little bit differently. But this is what we are doing, and I think this is also, I think, unique, yeah, on our side, because I think Microsoft had a huge history of working with partner, yeah, because it's just not just we didn't start with working with partner with Azure, we also working with partner before in old on-premise world. Yeah? So we have a huge pool of partners. And of course, it's also a challenge. Yeah, when you have a huge pool of partners, you also, we have a challenge to transfer this partner. Those partner also needs to somehow live the digital transformation wave. Yeah, and together with us, then help a customer to go in that digital transformation direction.
I mean, you mentioned also. I mean, this is interesting because typically, I would initially maybe think, okay, on Microsoft has a Microsoft partner and SAP has an SAP partner, which is true, right?
Yep.
However, here it's also that these partners are also Microsoft and SAP in a technology context, right?
Mm.
So I know that you have, as a part of the enablement and helping the customer, there are many activities. One of them was also this training, which is SAP on Azure specific. I mean, there is pure Azure infrastructure, IIS paths, and so on. But this was really created something specifically for SAP on Azure, right? Which basically that helps also partners, to gain the speed. If they're coming from the SAP world, basically to get the speed to the Azure.
Yeah, I mean, really now it's almost 6 years what we are doing. I mean, Holger and I started together on those first boot camps before, my God, 6 years. And we try to, to create those materials, and we try to find the rhythm for that, because, those partners, especially for SAP, they're coming almost from another planet. Like we are one planet, SAP is another planet. It's different technology, different mentality, different habits. Yeah. And there's some challenges. And now in the last 6 years, we really collect all those experiences. We now have so much flavors of that SAP on Azure bootcamps, as you mentioned, from 3 days, 4 days, and so on, where we're really helping partner to understand what is Azure. That knowledge what they have on premises is still there. We need that. But they need to a little bit change it, a little bit do a little bit more mentality switch and so on, and use that, right sizing, tight sizing mentality, or this flexibility mentality of Azure to bring that to, in this case, SAP on Azure. And this is sometimes challenge. And of course, as you mentioned, from storage till I don't know which resources or services we need to cover in SAP on Azure topic, because it's very complex.
Yeah, I think what I always really found extremely interesting from your take when you started to talk about talk with the partners was always, I mean, in a lot of cases we have partners that have been Microsoft partners for a very, very long time. They have done a lot of project with Microsoft, but I really liked always your statement that in the cloud you really have to rethink the whole way how you operate. And even if you have an SAP partner that has years and years of experience of running an SAP system on Azure, I still remember when they got in touch with you, and when you had a boot camp there, and then you talk to them and explain to them, look, in the cloud you operate an SAP system very, very differently, and it's not a one-time thing. It's a constant improvement. As you already mentioned, tight sizing, right sizing, or something like that. But I think you worked very, very closely with the partners, or are still working very closely with the partners to really help them. You called it before the digital transformation, but maybe this cloud transformation that they also need to go through to really understand or help them understand that it is very differently in the cloud.
And I think, this is absolutely correct, and when we start using that, I mean, we are somehow alone, so we need to invent that also, we also need to challenge ourselves, because for God's sake, we are also coming from that on-premise world, yeah. We also have the sometimes mentality challenges. But I think which is very crucial today is really, my weekly warm suggestion is always try to take a look on this cloud adoption framework, yeah? Because I learned a lot there. For example, I'm using a lot value architecture framework assessments just to see, okay, did I miss something? Okay, about this cost perspective, okay, did I address everything what I want to discuss with partner? And partner or customer can do that self-reflection for themselves. And this is exactly what we are doing on our bootcamps. Before we have also public bootcamps. Maybe for next year we will start again with those public bootcamps, where we actually trying to really a little bit more publicly discuss about SAP on Azure. And feedback was always very good, and it's always triggers some a next step, deeper understanding, deeper learning about networking or whatever. And
So-
you know, Azure or cloud in general is changing. I mean, just take a look at this 3-4 announcement what Goran mentioned. I mean, it's amazing. These are not small steps. These are big steps. Yeah. And sometimes these steps reflection to what customer already have today in Azure. So now they actually have a chance to modernize their landscape in Azure with new functionality in Azure. So I mean, you know, this really moving target. And I think it's much more easier to predict that really customer have so huge power to modify that. And I think this is also from other perspective golden eye for every partner, because who will do that? Big customer, okay, you know, they are special monsters. They already have their own IT maybe, but you know, most of the customer cannot do that by themselves. And this is a partner. Partner is actually our key factor. You know, we can help a customer and partner to understand something, but we are not executing that. This is a partner job and partner tasks.
Robert, you talked about these public boot camps that might come next year again, something. So when you look at the partners that you're interacting with right now, are you actually still getting, let's call them new partners? Because I still remember in the very beginning, we were really addressing new customers that had never touched or never done anything with SAP on Azure, for example. Are you still getting these customers? Are they partners? Are they still out there? Or let me also rephrase this. When you look at some of these partners, are you working more with partners that come from a Microsoft background and then you teach them how to do SAP, or are you more working with partners that come from an SAP background and you teach them how to do Microsoft stuff?
I mean, you know, there's 2-3 questions in your one question. So, for example, when you're talking about partners, I think it's, you know, we are constantly working with our big partners. We call them global SIs. Yeah. And of course, we have also local partners in Germany, very strong, very actually also big partners in Germany and also complete Europe region. And we are working with those partners. And they're more or less, you know, those partners have also strong part of Microsoft knowledge, strong part of SAP knowledge, or who knows what. Yeah? But, you know, it's very interesting that in most cases, when you have something like public boot camp or you have a class training face-to-face, yeah, then you receive more those small partners. And those small partners are not just partners which are somehow 10 years old. They are also new partners who are actually started with different, colleagues from different old big partners, and they decide to create new partners and create something completely new based on. And there's a mixture of everything. But you know, on other side, you know, every time when I have someone in training, when someone mentioned I have a SAP knowledge but have no clue what is Azure, I say you're in the right place. Yeah, so don't worry. Yeah? But if someone approached me to say I know everything about Azure but nothing about SAP, then I say, oh, this is a tricky, yeah, because you know SAP is from construct perspective, you know, application server, database, blah blah blah, done. But if you ask Goran said not so easy, yeah, you know, there's a small details always behind the scene, and SAP landscapes are very complex, and for that Robert, you need to have understanding of what SAP is. Yeah?
But I remember that in such cases where we have a partner with strong, different Microsoft knowledge, but no SAP know-how, you were recommending them actually to gain the people with the SAP technology knowledge, right? And that kind of actually worked for them as well, right?
Yes, and you know, this is also, for example, if you take that, what your comment, and transfer that to already existing partner with those two, let's call them silos. And this is a big problem for most of the partner, those silos, yeah, because you know we are used to approach to SAP like SAP IT and other IT, yeah? And in most cases this is two silos. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, this is from perspective of the dysfunctional team. This is a big problem, yeah. But in general, this is also key where partner can, with this cloud mentality, this is in a cloud adoption framework called like, switch of responsibility, I think, where they need to understand that they now in cloud have more freedom, but also more responsibility. Yeah. So basis guys will now be able to create complete landscape by their own, just executing the Terraform, for example. But they also need to take care about the governance responsibility. Yeah, there's a balance between that, and I think it's journey. It's not something you can just have a certificate and done, and you're now a full big expert. I think it's journey. I mean, from your side also, this never-ending story when we are talking about what need to be learned. Yeah. So I think this is also for partner.
Yeah.
And also what is interesting that in most big projects you never have just one partner. You have multiple partners. Yeah. And then is also the big challenge to organize that. For example, in the last 2 years, we also, from our perspective, try to do something which we are usually not doing, is to be active during the process of big projects, just to be there if partner need our help. We call it on-the-fly learning. Yeah? So you never know. You sometimes have a new colleague. You have experienced colleague with A, but not with B. So we are always there with our partners, and we have 2-3 projects where it was very nice and successful story. It was also challenging for us because this is first time we are doing something like boot camp on the fly. But it was very interesting, and we build a trust between partners. This is what we are trying to do. Like a real mentors. We are trying to help them and to count on us during any phase of challenge they may have.
It's a luxury, I would call it.
Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes it's true, because most of the partner. I mean, I need to say that because most of the partner told us this is a big plus for Microsoft, because when they're working with our competition, they don't have that level of connection with mothership, so to say. They like that because we are always there, and also this is also propagated to other for Bioholger perspective, for PM perspective, or for Goran perspective. He's also PM, but he's a little bit infrastructure part. Yeah, so I mean, we are trying always to be in touch with our partners because this is our engine, this is all our tools. Yeah, without them, we are nothing. Yeah,
that's a good statement. Without the partners, we are nothing. I think we can leave it like that. And actually, I mean, so far, if we look back at our episodes that we have done, we have never really invited partners. So this was really a podcast or a webcast from a Microsoft perspective. I mean, we did have a few colleagues from SAP actually also joining, but we had discussed that we would think about opening this up next year. Exactly. So that we really try to invite, or if partners are interested, that we would like to invite them also to the podcast, and then have some discussions, ideally around customer projects, maybe some implementations. So going forward, I mean, we still need to figure out all the details, but the idea is that we would like to invite a few partners that are really active in the SAP on Microsoft or SAP and Microsoft community, basically, and yeah, that they can also share their lessons learned, their experience with this.
Yeah, I mean, we will invite our colleagues from partners, and because we are unofficial channel, we can discuss with them. But from other side, we are all working for Microsoft, and they are working for their companies. So we need to be, very, very honest and very careful with our balance between what we need to share, and of course we need to respect the customer on that project. Yeah. Maybe not discuss directly about customer, just discuss about issues which we have on the project, and not mentioning customer. So it's sometimes a challenge to balance that, but we are, as you mentioned, we are trying to prepare ourselves. But idea is already there, so probably we will start next year and invite some partners, and I think our channel will be then one level more interesting for our subscribers. So if you are not subscribers, subscribe below.
Very good. Cool. Cool, great. No, I think
Yeah.
that's a nice closing word. So partners are really crucial and very important for us. And subscribe.
Yep. Thank you,
With
guys.
this, thank you very much, and talk to you next week again.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.